morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitchline Chronicles, where fans become family. I am Uncle Tash. I am here with Rob and Donald. And the postseason, the American League Divisional Series is all set on, and also the National League Divisional Series are all set. And if anybody did catch that game yesterday with the Brewers and the Mets, man, you got to see some nice late inning heroics on both sides. We had the back-to-back home runs on back-to-back pitches. The 3-run home run by Alonso to take the lead for good. So the Mets are now going to be facing the Phillies. That is going to be a dogfight. I'm not taking anything for granted on that one. But this is the kind of team, and I want to actually make a comparison. Because there are teams in the postseason that are just resilient, is the word I could think of. You know, when you think of the Tigers who were counted out, they weren't supposed to be here, and they just look like a team that is just clicking. They are hot right now. Can they carry that momentum with Cleveland? We're going to have the Royals, who we pretty much should have swept if it wasn't for Clay Holmes in that 4-game set that kind of sent the Yankees on a tailspin. So are we able to exact our revenge on the Royals for kind of almost throwing our season down the toilet? And then you got the Padres and the Dodgers. Again, to wrap up with the National League side. Even though we are we are a Yankee channel, I said we would be paying close attention to what's going on around the league, so we know exactly what we're up against. So when you look at the brackets, is there a series where you feel that this is which one are you looking forward to the most? Which matchup, apart from Yankees Royals?
The other American League series, because if we advance, I want to know who we're playing. But that's really, I mean, this postseason has been pretty crazy. That comeback last night by the Mets is exactly why I like the extended playoff, because you wouldn't have gotten that if not for it. But yeah, if I'm looking forward to any other series, it'd be the Tiger series, because I want to see who we could potentially play if we beat Kansas City. That's a big task ahead of us, and I'm getting real tired of people saying it's an easy path to the World Series, because it's not. The Royals are a very good team. In case anyone hasn't noticed yet, they're a very good team. So I want to see what happens in the Cleveland-Detroit series, and then obviously I'm just focused on the Yankees part.
Donald, any other series that you're looking forward to?
The Dodgers and the San Diego Yankees is pretty interesting. I'd pay attention to that. And Mets Phillies, that's a classic rivalry, actually. So let's go Phils. I'm actually more interested in the National League side of things, obviously, with the Yankees. But I've always been the same. If the Yankees are done, I'm done with baseball. I tend to be. So
that actually is my other question. And we're going to get to the Yankee, with the potential postseason roster, how they're going to line up the pitching. We're going to get to all that with everybody. But we're kind of give a little talk to everybody else that has survived the baseball season and teams that are continuing to play. But I think the Phillies Mets series is the one that I'm going to be locked into. But just because of the rivalry, I think that's going to draw a lot of eyes. But Donald, you said something that I'm always it's something that I always want to ask, because I only watch baseball. So this is always a question I always bring up this time of year. You guys have probably heard it 50 million times over the years. But to me, not watching the rest of it, if the Yankees unfortunately get bounced, is kind of like not watching the Super Bowl because your team's not in it. Like, I can't just turn off my baseball switch and just be like, the season's over. So I want to ask everybody in the chat, how do you still watch when your team's out? Because I can't not watch. It'll drive me crazy if I don't know how the baseball season finishes It will absolutely drive me insane. So I want to know how you guys think. And while you guys are putting your comments into the chat, just remember to hit that sub button if you do want to comment, and also hit that like button for us as well. So while we are discussing that, but there was a question we were trying to figure out is with the lineups. So we wanted to wait until you were here, Rob, so we kind of put a collective opinion together. But when you're looking at the lineup and the depth of the lineup, how would you shape your lineup? Like, what would your lineup look like if you were the manager filling out the card? How would you navigate your lineup?
I wouldn't change a thing from what we were doing when the squad was healthy. Just depending on who's our first baseman. If it's Cabrera, then you probably bat him ninth or bat Volpe ninth. I don't know what Rizzo's health is. I don't think he's going to be playing, so they got to figure out first base. Is it Ben Rice? Then if he's in there, you probably bat him ninth. If it's Mr. Foote, then you bat him ninth, but that's really it. Everything else I wouldn't touch because it was kind of working. Obviously, the top three is not going to change: Torres, Soto, Judge, and then depending on who we're facing, you go Wells or Stanton in the cleanup spot, and then you just fill out the rest of it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, and that's basically it. It's just figuring out who's at first, and then you go from there. If Rizzo's able to play, then you probably bet Rizzo seventh, and then Volpe ninth. That's about it.
Yeah, Donald.
Yeah, you don't want to make too many changes here. So the only thing that you would do here is decide on who batting eighth and who's batting ninth. Anthony Volpe should be batting eighth or ninth, and I guess what for me, if say Oswaldo's playing first, Oswaldo bats eighth, Volpe bats ninth, something like that. But I don't want to make too many changes. The first six are already like locked down, and then after that, it's kind of it's not that important, to be honest. As long as the first six stay the same: Gleyber Torres, Soto, and then Judge, and then Wells, Stanton, Jazz. That's the six, and then you just work it out from there.
Yeah, I think the word coming out yesterday about with Rizzo that he's not ruled out yet. Did throw kind of a curveball, but I don't know if they're just keeping the move they're going to make close to the vest, not trying to fully show their hand. But then again, it's the Yankees. They have a habit of putting their foot in their mouth. So it makes me wonder really what their big plan is. But the way I have I actually put it how I would construct the lineup. There are not many changes. I have Gleyber leading off at second base, Soto in right field, Judge in center, Wells catching, cleaning up, Stanton in DH batting fifth, Verdugo in left. I got Jazz at third, Volpe at short, and Cabrera at first. That would be my lineup.
You'd have Verdugo ahead of Jazz Chisholm?
It's because I didn't want to have. I'm trying to avoid like the lefty righty. I tried mixing up the lineup a little bit.
They're both
lefty. You can switch Jazz and Verdugo. Really, that wouldn't be an issue. That was just how I threw it up. The other day.
They're both lefties though.
Yeah, no, I got the two lefties and the two righties at the bottom of the order.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on who we're going up against.
Yeah. This is not knowing the pitching matchups. Obviously, you gotta.
Well, haven't they announced their game one starter?
If it's righty lefty.
Haven't they announced their game one starter?
Yeah.
Isn't it Waka?
I know. Is it? Waka? I did this before. I looked at before they had the pitching matchups.
I think it's Michael Waka. I think it's he's a.
It's gonna be Waka and Cole. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a righty, so I mean, I guess you can have those lefties bunched up, but I'd probably go with Jazz over Verdugo.
Instead, Verdugo and Jazz could,
So you've definitely got Verdugo as our starting left fielder.
I'm going. Because I don't think they're going to have. My gut really tells me they're not going to have Dominguez in the postseason roster. I think if I'm running the team, and I really want Dominguez to be on there, but I have to look at the big picture, and that's winning the World Series. I'm taking the gamble with Verdugo with his experience on the field. That he's going into free agency. He's going to just be a little extra focused in the postseason, wanting to get that deal. So that is what gave the edge to Verdugo over Dominguez. Dominguez is set for the lineup next year. Verdugo is not. Verdugo's playing for the rest. He's playing for next year. So I think he's just got that little extra motivation and focus coming into the postseason.
I mean, I think it's just a defense, really.
Yeah.
I'm going with Verdugo simply because of his defense. It has nothing to do with I'm not souring on Dominguez or anything, but This is the playoffs. We can't mess around. You got to go with who's the sure thing in left field, and that's Alex Verdugo. If they gave Dominguez more of a chance to play left field, then we can have this conversation. But as of what we saw in the month of September, you can't start Dominguez and expect to have a crisp outfield play, especially with Judge not being the greatest center fielder. He's fine, and Soto's fine and right, but you have to go with Verdugo in left. If he's not playing, then you have to have Grisham out there. And I think Grisham's making this team simply for his defense. I don't know if Dominguez makes the team, if we're being honest. Would I like to see it? Sure, but that's just because he's one of my favorite players. You got to go with who's the better player right now, and right now, defensively, it's Verdugo, and you can even argue that over the last few weeks, Verdugo's bat hasn't been terrible. I don't know how they're going to shape the lineup up, but if you're going by defense, obviously you're going with Verdugo.
I wish that Aaron Boone used Grisham more in the second half of the year. There was a good stretch where Grisham was playing every day. He was very productive. His numbers were very good, actually. In that short sample size, he was good offensively, and he had a clutch hit against the Red Sox at Fenway, and his defense is ridiculously good. So I really wish that Boone used him more. He was an asset because he's actually kind of like the happy medium between Dominguez and Verdugo, because he actually plays good defense and he's actually better offensively than Verdugo is. He's actually better defensively than Verdugo, and he's better offensively than Verdugo. Grisham's actually a better player than Verdugo, in my opinion. I don't even think there's much to doubt about it. It's just the fact that he's only a center fielder. I just kind of wish that Boone maybe tried him out and left just to see if he could do it, because he'd be better than Verdugo, I think, at the bottom of the order. He's got that little bit of pop. But is there a way in which he could play center field and then you just kind of... Well, I'm actually just answering my own question. I wish that Boone had actually tried it, where he'd maybe used Soto over in left field a couple times just to see if he was comfortable there, and have Grisham play center field the last month of the year just to see if there was something there. But if not, I don't disagree that Dominguez hasn't really shown that he can play defense yet at a postseason level. But you don't want to drop that bat either.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. Obviously, we'll probably get the roster today, I would think. I don't know if they're gonna wait till the day of the game, but if I'm a betting man, when I'm not, but I would say Verdugo makes the team, or for sure. I think Verdugo and Grisham make the team. I don't think Dominguez is making it. I really don't, because they didn't seem to trust him that much. They sat him every so often, and they love Verdugo, obviously. And if you're going by who's the... Again, it's the playoffs. We can't be picking favorites here. We know the Yankees have their favorites, but you got to go with the sure thing right now. And it's not Dominguez's fault. Right now, the surer thing, if that's even a word, is Verdugo because of his glove. With the bat, they've both been equally as below average as you can be in the month of September. Dominguez has the pop, but we've seen Verdugo run into a few and have some clutch moments. He's got decent postseason numbers in his career, so you probably go with Verdugo simply off of that. And Trent Grisham, if he does play, we know he can pop a few over that short porch. So I think they're going with those two. But if Dominguez makes a team, I won't be complaining. I just don't know what his role would be in October.
Yeah, it's really the defensive play. I think, Rob, you're right. That's the deal breaker. That's what it's going to come down to with their decision. It's going to be the defensive alignment because you got although you want to get some run production in your lineup, you also need to have you also need somebody with a high DRS. So this way you're not constantly chasing a run scored. You're the one that's being chased. That's what it's going to have to come down to. Now you see Donald. I'm assuming you're pulling up his Verdugo's DRS. Am I right? Do I know you or what?
No.
Okay.
Go on.
All right. So I'm going with the defense. You got to keep these players. You got to keep the opposing offense at bay because they're going to be an aggressive team. You want to have somebody where you have confidence that they're not going to run on. Especially they're not going to try to stretch that single to a double. I think having Verdugo, Judge, and Soto in the outfield gives the Yankees that edge where they're going to be a little more hesitant to try to stretch it. First to third, they might have a little hesitation. And so, but I'm not going to be pissed off if it's Dominguez over any either Verdugo or sorry, I lose my voice for a second, or Grisham. So Donald and I made the statement yesterday. It's really going to come down to the infield defenses. More important. I think that's more of a concern than the outfield. So I want to get Rob's opinion on how your confidence level with this defense.
I'm not confident in it. If Rizzo's out, I'm not very confident in this defense. Mm-hmm. I think Volpe's our best defender, but his arm's a question because Rizzo saved him a few times over the past few weeks. Yeah. Jazz has a fantastic arm, but he also has sometimes he can throw it a little too hard, and it's going 5 feet the other direction, and it's going in the second row in foul territory. So those are things that you need a good first baseman for. If it's Ben Rice out there, I don't trust it. If it's Cabrera out there, I trust it a little bit more, but not nearly as much as I should or as I could. And if it's Rizzo, I feel a lot more comfortable with these guys. And then we can't forget about we talked about this last week or earlier in the week. We can't forget that Gleyber Torres is good for at least one rough play in a clutch spot. So that's where I think John Birdie's going to play a factor, maybe as a late inning replacement. But yeah, we need Rizzo. If Rizzo's out there and he's good to go, I feel a lot more confident in this infield. But if it's Ben Rice or Cabrera or that $15 million waste, I'm in panic because every ground ball I'm going to think is going to be booted or it's going to be a bad scoop or something. Rizzo is so important to this. If this team wants to go far and win a championship, whether his bat's producing or not, they need Anthony Rizzo desperately.
Does it serve the Yankees better to, rather than putting him, saying that he's out, maybe giving Rizzo the divisional series to kind of work, do some drills, see how he's feeling, and then add him to the roster in the championship series? I think that would be the safest bet.
That's assuming that we're advancing. the Royals can kick your ass one way or the other. Don't underestimate them. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't matter who we're playing. I would have said this if we were playing Cleveland first round, which was impossible. If it was Houston, whatever team, his absence from this infield is huge because if they wanted to, they can drop a bunt, test Jazz's arm, and then test who's ever at first base, and then they can beat our ass on the base paths because as good as Austin Wells has been this year, he can give up a few stolen bases. And if Trevino's playing, then it's open season. So, yeah, 2 fractured fingers. I don't know if he's playing. So he might
I'm
not.
not
He's probably
confident.
not going to play.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not. I would be extremely shocked to see Rizzo on the roster. I really would, and it's going to suck because that was something that Donald and I was stressing the other day really bad. You've been stressing it, Rob, yourself. Yeah, and it's without a real backup first baseman, it really unravels a lot. Or brings up a lot of concern with the on field play. It's just a shame because you were a guy that Rob, that really wanted to see Rizzo go out on a high note, and really have his one shot to go deep into a playoff run and kind of bow out and make a decision on his life from there. But unfortunately, we are in the predicament that we are, and I think it's as much as I'd rather it be Cabrera, knowing Boone, it's going to be Ben Rice. They're going to put him there. They're going to ride with him, which is not the worst option, but it doesn't give me the most comfort.
I'd go with Cabrera.
Me too. Also for his bat.
I wish that DJ wasn't completely useless. If he was just a good glove, I'd be like, all right, if he's healthy, let him play first. But he's been terrible with the glove. So really, it's just pick your poison at first right now. Because I like Ben Rice. I just don't trust him defensively because he's not a first baseman. He was a catcher turned into a first baseman. So and you're going to put that after sending him down, go play in the postseason, and you got to be good. You have to be good. Save this entire infield. Cabrera has at least been working with these guys all season and in past years. Maybe not Jazz, but he's been around the team longer than Rice, so I guess he'd be the safest bet. Again, everything's just kind of like is picking the lesser of two evils, so to speak, when it comes to this defense because Cabrera would be the better bat, but they're both questionable at first base. We don't have a first baseman without Anthony Rizzo. It's as simple as that. It's really just trying to find some positives in each player. And I think there's more positives in Cabrera than there is Rice right now.
Although, don't forget, Rice was great AAA this last couple of weeks. He has
With the
been
bat.
absolutely, yeah. Offensively, he's been raking. Do you know what position he was playing?
I think he was playing first, but
Well, that's good. I'd probably go. I mean, there isn't a great option, but I'd probably go Ben Rice. Because he's been kind of hot lately. Offensively, he's been kind of hot down there in AAA, and I thought defensively he wasn't that bad at first. Like he wasn't horrible at first at all when he was playing for us. So I'd probably go that option, but it's not ideal because for the reasons given, I'm worried about the lack of defense there when you got Jazz, whose arm is fantastic, but can sometimes need to be reined in a little bit. And it's almost the opposite with Volpe because his arm is actually too weak. And you need a great first baseman that can make the scoops. And I don't trust either of them really to make those scoops that Rizzo can make. So that's my worry. That is my concern. And then you go Glaber, who has these mental lapses and gets a little bit too relaxed, and sometimes his balls sail. And that's what worries. That's what worries me. So that is an advantage, I think, for the Royals, is taking advantage of our questionable infield defense with their speed. If they lay down bunts, if they have ground balls like in the gap like say in between second and short, where there's a bit of range that's required, say for Volpe to track it down, and then he just doesn't have the arm to gun anybody out. That's something that they can take advantage of. So I could see them laying down some bunts, some infield ground balls, and just absolutely leg it to first and put the pressure on our infield defense. That's an advantage for the Royals. If I'm being honest, of all the teams in the American League, there was the Royals that I didn't want to face. It sounds funny, but it's true. I feel that with their speed, athleticism, and guys that kill us. I didn't think that they were a really great matchup for us, and there was some good pitching too. So it's gonna be a tough series. I mean, no doubt about it. It's gonna be a tough series, and we're gonna really need to be firing.
Yeah, no, there is there's no easy path. There really isn't. I don't care what team it is. I know we all want to joke around about Cleveland, but it's not like we have the Minnesota Twins. That's the only team I'll be like, all right, I have a little confidence. But they're not a factor this year. So that opinion goes by the wayside on that. But the other aspect is going to be, with the pitching. I want to get into that a little bit. We kind of put that on ice yesterday. How do you see this rotation really? After Cole Rodon, it seems like there's still a debate of who the third starter would be. Is it Nestor, Heel, Schmidt? I highly doubt it would be Stroman. But he is still a starter on the staff, so he's got to be in the conversation. I think it's only fair.
Nestor's hurt.
Nestor's hurt, so Nestor's not an option. You're right. So we have Cole, you have Heel, Schmidt, and Stroman. With those three, who do you have the most confidence with the game three?
Heel.
I guess Heel, but yeah, I like Schmidt too. So either or is a good choice.
Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think they're going to give it to Heel though. I think they're gonna ride or die with Heel. He's up for he's in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. I doubt he'll get it. There's a lot of good competition for that this year, especially even Wells on his own team. But I think it'll be Heel, and then you'll see Schmidt out of maybe come in. Maybe they split the start. I don't know how they're going to manage that. It's something that I did see a comment about that on social media, saying just give them each 3 innings and then go to your bullpen, which I'm not a big fan of. It's almost like having an opener, which has not fared well for us in the past. But
starting pitching is not a concern for me. Like, to be fair, that's the one area where I'm very, very confident in. I like our power in the middle of the order. I'm confident in that. I'm confident in the power in the middle of our order because it's one of our biggest strengths as opposed to them, and it's not one of their biggest strengths. So that's something that we can really take advantage of. Another thing we can take advantage of is I like our starting pitching, although they've got good starting pitching too. So it's I think it's going to come down to the pitching, but I'm not concerned about our starters. Like Schmidt's been great, even if he's in the bullpen, great. I think he'll be good out of the bullpen too. Luis Gil's been a monster all year. Rodon is going to be determined to have a good start because that's really the key. That the game 2 matchup is the key for me. That's a hell of a matchup. That's the Royals' best starter against our best. Against our number 2 starter. So it's like.
Is there any reason why they're skipping a day? Isn't that the dumbest thing? Like you're playing game 1, then you skip a day, and then you're playing game 2 on Monday.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I was looking at that too. Is that because the only thing I thought of is MLB's like it's football Sunday. We'd be stupid to go against the NFL for views and ratings.
Well, there's 2 games scheduled on Sunday. There's the National League games. I just think it's stupid because it's a best of 5, and you. I don't know. I just don't like the scheduling thing. It feels dumb. You're playing a game every single day, and then once you get to the wild card series was 3 straight games, and then they skip a day after game 2. Isn't that like? It just makes no sense
every other day. Yeah, that you know what? Yeah, that's really stupid.
I just saw that and I was like, that's really strange. It's good for the Tigers. Yeah, you're right, Joan. You're absolutely right.
But like Rodon versus Regans is gonna be is a really good matchup.
Oh yeah, that'll be the
That's
best
it.
one of the series.
It's the key. It's really the key. Reagan's has actually good numbers against us. For the most part, Rodon has faced them and actually done well too. I think Rodon's. I think there was one start where he went 7 innings pitched, 1 run, and then in September, I believe he went 6 innings and 2 earned runs with 9 strikeouts. So Rodon's actually pitched pretty well. Reagan's pitched well against us too. 6 innings pitched, 2 runs, 7 strikeouts, and Reagan's has had a monster year. By far their best starter. He's had a great year. I believe he's averaging 11 strikeouts per 9 innings, Reagan. So he's a bit of a machine. And Walker is good too. Has Walker faced us?
I believe
Walker's
so.
faced us this
I'm
year.
sure he's faced us somewhere along his career.
No, but not this year. I don't believe he's faced us this year.
That I believe we faced him maybe earlier in that June series. Did we go against him? No, we didn't actually. All season we did not see him. So
I don't think so.
does not bode well for us.
But Lugo absolutely shut us down. I remember
Right.
Lugo shut us down. He pitched a shutout over 7 innings. So, I mean,
Yeah, Jarvis said he was on
this
the
is
Red
why
Sox.
this is why it's not my favorite series because they've got the pitching that can shut us down. If they can find a way to pitch around Aaron Judge and pitch around Soto, they have an advantage. They really do. Because they can handle dudes like Volpe. We don't even have a first baseman right now. They can absolutely mow down whoever's going to be in left field for us. So that's where they've got an advantage. So it's going to be a tight series. It really is.
Yeah, it would. This is one of those series that wouldn't surprise anybody if it went to full 5. I don't think there's one team that's going to be able to dominate the other. I really don't. I think this is going to be a fight. It's really also going to come down to not only we spent a lot of time with the first base defense, left field defense, and all that, but it's also going to come down to the bullpen and the way that Boone manages his bullpen. Because if he has if he has a bad series with the use of this bullpen, he might as well. He could very well be out of a job. So there's also a lot of pressure on the manager to make sure that he keeps pulling all the right strings. And so when it comes to the bullpen, Rob, who do you have? Where do you put everybody? How do you align your bullpen so Boone can't really fuck this up?
There's a few certainties in life. Death, taxes, and Aaron Boone fucking up the bullpen. So he will. The only way, one of the biggest ways they can do that is by putting Clay Holmes in the 9th inning, or in any high leverage spot, which they will. They've already said that they're going to do it. You need Cole and Rodon. Those are the keys, like Donald just said. Game 2 especially, but you need Cole and Rodon to give you 6, at least. And then you're hoping that Canely and Hamilton and Weaver can get you through the next 3. Because if we have to see Clay Holmes, that means something went wrong. The fact that they're still trying to hype him up despite him having the worst season from a Yankee closer in a long time says something. Because we've been blessed with good closers. Even when we didn't have Mo, we still had that 1 year of Soriano. We had Betances close a few games. We had David Robertson, obviously. We had Chapman when he was good. I would take a Aroldis Chapman right now over Clay Holmes. That's how bad it's been for Clay Holmes. They'll find a way to mess this up, and that's my concern. Is Aaron Boone is still our manager, and we're seeing a lot of first-year managers find ways to win and not mess things up. I give a lot of credit to the Mets. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name, but the guy that came from our bench, Mendoza, is that it? Yeah. He's done a hell of a job with that team over there, because they had no business in a lot of people's minds even being in the playoffs, and he's got them into the National League Division Series. They're playing their ass off for their coach, and he managed that bullpen pretty well last night, kept them in the game. I don't know if Aaron Boone would do the same thing with our bullpen. I really don't. And when you mentioned a few weeks ago, they said that Boone was the only manager with postseason experience, I scoffed at it. I put my head down in disgust because he has not managed well at all in October. And as bad as our first base situation is, and is our offense going to hit, none of that matters more to me than how Aaron Boone manages this postseason. I like what he's been saying, that they're working on fundamentals and stuff, and they're staying prepared, and they're not taking days off, basically, but I need him to be on top of his game the way he was earlier this season, where we didn't criticize him for pretty much anything. We need that Aaron Boone. Because if we start seeing the guy that wants to fluff up Clay Holmes and be like, oh, well, I got to put him in there, then it's going to be the same old crap that we've been complaining about since 2018. This postseason, if we're going to make a run, Aaron Boone has to be the best manager he's been in his tenure, and that's asking a lot. It is. That's my biggest concern, is managers matter, whether people want to hear it or not. They matter, because they're the ones who make the decisions who are out there at certain points of the game. Does he make a foolish late inning substitution? Does he make a bad bullpen decision, which he's very prone to? We cannot see Clay Holmes in a pressure spot this postseason, and they'll bring him in. And it would not shock me one bit. It wouldn't shock any of us at all if Clay Holmes comes into a game and blows it. And so I'm looking at Aaron Boone. He's got to be at his best, but it's Canely, Weaver, and Hamilton. Those are the three, in whatever order you want to put them in. Those have got to be your best three. And if Cousins is healthy, then he's right into that fold as well.
Yeah, no, Holmes definitely. Donald and I were very adamant the other day. Keep him as far away from the ninth inning as possible. I don't even want him on the roster, but we all know how the Yankees operate. He's going to be on the roster. As long as you keep him away from the ninth inning, I think we'll be safe. The other wild card, the other factor is going to be how they utilize the DH. And obviously we know it's going to be Stanton. But the fact that they constantly dismiss this guy is just criminal. But we all know he's the DH. We trust him. His postseason numbers are a lot better than people want to give him for. But do you have, depending, does it help him not to be in the cleanup spot and you bat him fifth and leave Wells in cleanup, or do you have Stanton the cleanup and Wells batting fifth?
I said earlier in the show, it all depends on if we're going against lefty or righty, because you want to break that up in any way you can. If we're going against a righty, which I believe Waka is a righty, then you'll probably put Wells in between Judge and Stanton. And just leave it the way it was, because like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Giancarlo Stanton has to play.
Yeah.
And the only way you're taking him out is to pinch run late in the game. And that's where you can get creative with this bench if you want to have Birdie come off. And do you lose the DH for a late inning defensive replacement? That's something you have to think about. They do have the ability to have some speed off the bench with guys like Grisham and Birdie. We know Trevino is going to be off the bench. And then if they want to carry an extra bench guy, does Dominguez make the team simply for his speed? Or do they give it to a guy like Duke Ellis? I don't think that's going to happen, but it's something to think about because of the speed in October. We need it. But yeah, Stanton absolutely has to be in the lineup every single day because he's our best postseason bat. Since 2018, there's been nobody better than him in the postseason. And if you take him out of the lineup, then they're just begging to lose because you need him.
The other worry or concern or question, however you want to interpret it, would be with the amount of players we have playing for a contract. Is that beneficial, or is that could that really hurt the Yankees that players are gonna press for the looking into the offseason? Does it help the Yankees that we do have a handful of guys that are not going to be here next year? Is it one of those where they want to give it their all and go out, leave the Yankees on, with a ring, or are they just going to completely fall on their face?
What, two guys? It's Torres and Verdugo, right?
You got Holmes is going to be a free agent. You also got Soto.
I'm not worried about Juan Soto pressing or anything. Juan Soto just sticks to his approach. He's going to be fine. Verdugo just has to play good defense. And Gleyber Torres just has to do what he's been doing for the last 2 months. I don't think there's going to be too much concern with those guys. The only person you would be concerned with is Clay Holmes, and it's not because he's playing for a contract, it's because he sucks. That's really it. I don't want to see Clay Holmes in the game, but it's if he's trying to play for a contract, he better have the best postseason of his life, and I hope he does. Because guess what? If he does, then we have a better shot of winning a championship.
Yeah.
And if he can leave on a high note and we never have to see him again in a Yankee uniform, then it's a win-win.
Yeah, I think it serves Holmes well to show that if they put him in a 6th or 7th inning spot and he gets a key out, I think that increases his value more than if he's able to close a game or two. Just because, look, I could still be a reliable bullpen arm, even though I'm nowhere. I shouldn't be anywhere near the closer role, because it's not always the closers that have are the most important. You got to get to the closer, as well. So kind of reinventing himself as a reliable bullpen arm could also serve him well. But I don't see him having a good postseason at all. I think the one guy that's really going to shine out of the pen, I actually have a lot of faith in Weaver. I've had that. And I think we're going to see Cousins really kind of come out of it a little bit and show a little what he's got.
That's if he's healthy.
If he's guaranteed.
If he's on the roster, yeah. I know he's been rumored that he could be back.
I hope so, because that slider is killer.
Yeah.
Another aspect to this, Michael Walker versus Aaron Judge is going to be a very interesting matchup because Aaron Judge actually has his worst numbers of anyone against Michael Walker, batting .056 in 18 at-bats, just one single. The Walker changeup, Judge struggles to lay off on it. So that's going to be a key. If Walker completely shuts down Aaron Judge, similar to his career numbers, then Walker could make his way through the lineup because really the Yankee lineup is Judge and Soto with a little bit of Stanton mixed in. But let's be honest, it's those show. That's that show. So if you completely shut down Aaron Judge, then the Yankees will be in trouble. So Judge needs to have a big game against Walker, I think. Or at least get on base. So that's going to be an interesting aspect to this. But don't believe Soto is going to have any issue. Soto is going to be our star man. For me, Juan Soto has got the best approach for a postseason. His approach is perfect for the postseason, man. He will do whatever the pitcher's giving him. If the pitcher's going to want to walk around him, fine. He'll take the walk. And you'll pass the baton. Not an issue. But but put him in runners in scoring position, he's going to drive them in because Soto's just an absolute machine. And he's got that championship pedigree that no one else on our roster has. So we have got to make use of that. And I think we will. I think he's going to have a huge postseason, Juan Soto. I really do. That's really my prediction. I think Soto's going to have a huge postseason.
I mean, I had even brought up to you down the other day. Let's not completely dismiss the fact that Volpe and Wells can be solid postseason players. We didn't get to see that last year because the Yankees didn't make the playoffs at all. So they could be one of those guys that, when the pressure's on in the postseason, they might have that little spark. And if you're able to get those two guys clicking, that serves us as well.
Well, Wells has been great all year, apart from September.
And I think in yesterday's chat, somebody even said Volpe has a habit of really coming out hot after a little bit of a slump. So had a rough. I don't remember him having like a slump. He was kind of. I thought he was kind of warming up near the end of the season, wasn't he?
I don't know what games you were watching. Anthony Volpe was utterly useless for like the last month.
Okay.
if not more.
Yeah, he's been like he started off the second half hot, and then really it was the final like month or so, month plus that he just could not hit. I mean, I don't know what his numbers were over the last 30, but he hasn't been good offensively. Like his last 7 games, he was 2 for his last 21, and he's 23 for his last 102. So he hasn't really hit for a long time,
Ouch. I didn't realize it was that bad. Okay.
which is perfect time for him to come up big. Because if last night's game was any indication, all it takes is one at bat. Because about 97% of Mets fans are ready to send Pete Alonso off the top of the Empire State Building,
That's
and one swing of the bat, they love him. That was one of the biggest postseason moments I've ever seen, and at least in the last like decade or so.
I think that was only his second hit of the series. Also,
Just takes one hit.
yeah.
Now he's loved forever and ever. Even if they don't bring him back, they're going to remember that one swing, because this has been a pretty special year for them. I don't want to give up. I don't want to give too much credit to the Mets. I don't like them, but I like good baseball when I see it, and that was one of the more impressive things I've seen, because I thought that game was over just like everybody else did. It takes one at bat, and that's something that Spencer brought up the other day, and that's why I don't want to hear the conversation about Aaron Judge, because it just takes one swing could change an entire series, if we're being honest. So one at bat, take it at bat. One at bat at a time. Forget about past numbers. It's a new postseason. We need our big guys to step up. And Aaron Judge has got the best protection he's had in a postseason since he's become a Yankee. I think we're going to see a big postseason from the captain.
Well, he's finally got a little protection in the lineup. It's not all on him this time around. And so that's another factor.
Well, Rob just said that.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it in agreement. Because we said it's going to come down to the patience. You have to make it seem like going against Soto and Judge, you already went all through all 9 batters. You got to make those at bats a battle. You can't have a 3-pitch strikeout on 3 changeups with Walker. That's not gonna help. If you're able to lengthen the at bats and see more pitches per at bat, the quicker you get into a bullpen, we've seen it. It's happened to us, as well. Once you get into the bullpen, things can change in a heartbeat. And so you really want to make these pitches really work.
With the fact that the Royals have as good pitching as we do, and they have a matchup advantage in some ways, would you maybe go with that extra offense with Dominguez then for the DS roster with that power that Verdugo doesn't have? And then we've already mentioned the fact we don't really have a first baseman. That's going to be up in the air. Maybe I think you probably want that power off the bench at minimum.
Maybe you start him and then Verdugo comes in
As a
midway through the game. You give Dominguez like 2 at bats, see how he's doing.
Yeah,
I don't know, but again, you're talking about the playoffs. Like, do you want to play this like
experiment,
a regular old game? Yeah, I don't know if you want to do too many experiments in the playoffs, but you're right though, because Dominguez's bat is certainly more of a threat than Verdugo is. But do you want to risk Dominguez having one of those rough looks that he had in left field multiple times already in the past few weeks? So those are the risks you take. It's like a risk-reward type of deal, because if you take Verdugo, the glove's going to be good, but he might ground into 4 double plays somehow in 3 at-bats. Or if you take Dominguez, he might run into a home run, but he might miss a ball in left field.
Yeah.
That's why it's so frustrating that the Yankees did not make use of Dominguez much earlier. They could have answered all these questions before October. They could have. They could have given him enough time for these kind of mistakes to not be a big deal in left field for him to work on it. But they didn't do it because they continued to peddle this Verdugo narrative, which was dead. That was a dead horse, and they beat the shit out of it. And it was ridiculous. And now we're in a situation where we don't know who's going to be playing left field. And this is one of my biggest worries going into October. I don't want an open tryout. They did the same thing at shortstop 2 years ago. They did the open tryout between Peraza and IKF, and in the end, they just went with their favorite, regardless of actually what was actually happening in front of them. They just went with their favorite, which is what Boone will do anyway. He's going to go with his favorite, which is Verdugo. So that's why these open tryouts don't work. Dominguez is obviously not comfortable in left field, but he's got that bat. He's already shown it. Even in September, over a short sample size, he has that bat. But it's not an automatic because the Yankees wasted time with him and played Verdugo every single day when there was really no need to do it. And now they're in this spot where Dominguez isn't comfortable playing left field, but Verdugo can't hit. And he hasn't even been that good defensively either the second half of the year, Verdugo. That's another aspect. He had a couple of Aaron Hicks moments out there. So it's a concern. That's an aspect that I'm worried about. We have two positions where we don't really have an answer for. Left field and first base. That's kind of vital. So the most important aspect of this series is establishing one and these that you could trust for each of these positions if we're going to advance, and then ALCS be the same situation.
Yeah, it's. I don't want to go with the experience. I'd rather go with the experience. That's so much to it's a lot to digest when you're trying to because the Yankees and Cashman really to put the Yankees roster in the best spot. I mean, they left a lot of question marks.
Brazil.
But that's their own fault.
Yeah, I know. They create these problems, and we got to figure out how to fix it.
We were asking them to call up Dominguez for 2 months before they actually did it. They could have given him an extended run. I talk about this all the time with prospects. When there was an injury, I think when Stanton got hurt, I didn't say because Dominguez wasn't healthy yet. I said, call up Vivas and give him an extended run at second base so you can see what he has. Or call up, I said early in the year, call up TJ Rumfield because he's a good glove. This way you can get him an extended run. That's what I want to see with prospects. So you can give them a trial run to see what they can do in the bigs. 18 games in left field when he's a center fielder, that's not fair. And then when he doesn't have his left field is tough. So when he doesn't look great in left field, you're like, oh, see, maybe he's not all he's hyped up to be. The Martian my ass. He's no Mantle. And these are the things that people are going to say. It's 18 fucking games. What do you think he's going to be? A Gold Glover? Like, come on. Yeah. This is what I don't like. And this is all the Yankees doing because they could have called him up so much sooner and given him an exact a good 2 months if they wanted to, a month and a half of everyday play in left field.
They treat it like it's MLB The Show, like it's a computer game.
Yep.
Like these are human beings. Do you know what I'm saying? He's a human being. What was his introduction? What was his introduction to the Yankees this year? Tariq Skubal in the middle of the lineup on national televised game. Holy shit! How's that for pressure? And it was an event as well. I mean, it was a Little League World Series, 27th man. He only had 4 at-bats, and then he was sent down again. Imagine that for an introduction. I mean, that's ridiculous. And it didn't go well for him. And what happened? The fans were like, oh, Martian my ass. He sucked. That's because he had 4 at-bats against the best pitcher in the American League. Yeah, no wonder. And then we didn't see him for 2 weeks. And then when he had a chance in September 1st, that was when you should have called him up. They waited another week or two. And then that's a week or two of valuable at-bats, week or two of valuable opportunities to work out the kinks between center and left field, but they didn't take advantage of it. And by the way, there is a big difference between center field and left field. It is. It's a difference. That's why you don't see Aaron Judge playing left field. If it was that easy, everyone would be doing it, right? So let's stop the nonsense. There's a The ball tracks differently. Hey, Grisham doesn't play left field, and he's a Gold Glove center fielder, right? So it's not easy. And the fact that the Yankees expected Dominguez, who's been playing center field his entire life, to suddenly master left field is really a really difficult position for him to be in. And the fans haven't given. I also look at the fans as well because the fans have been too critical on this kid. Oh, look, he's already a bust. He's already a bust. He can't catch the ball in left field. Well, what do you expect him to do? Jeez. So that's why it's so frustrating. And so when the Yankees called him up, I was pissed because it was like, you guys wasted 2 fucking weeks. I should have been happy that day, but I wasn't because the Yankees put him in a position to fail. And that's why we're in this position. He should be absolutely the starting left fielder in the postseason, but we can't do that right now because we don't know. And that's on them. That's not on Dominguez.
This is why I don't like when people always say, "Oh, just switch this guy." Like, there's people out there that are going to say, "When Arias is ready, move Volpe to second." It's not that easy just to move over, because if that was the case, then Gleyber Torres would have been a Gold Glover at short. I know A-Rod made it look easy because he was a damn good shortstop and he made third base look easy in the blink of an eye. Not everybody can do that. It's not that simple just to change positions on the fly and go and you're just going to be perfect at it. And I don't care how much money they make. It's like if you take someone from their regular position at their job, it's like if you're a cook and say, okay, now you got to go and be a waiter. It might sound so simple on paper, but then, now you got to memorize things and everything. It's a completely different ball game. Even as something that might sound so simple, it's going to take a learning curve. Every single switch at any job in the entire world, there's going to be a learning curve. So something that might seem so simple as, well, they get paid $30 million, so they better be able to go play left. Yeah, eventually they should be able to learn it, but it's not as simple as grab a glove, go move over a few feet, and you're going to be fine. It's not that easy, especially in Yankee Stadium. That's why they didn't put Soto out there. That's why they don't want to play Stanton out there. It's not easy to play left field in Yankee Stadium. That's why they don't want to put Judge out there. And Judge is a great fielder. So I don't care about the money. It's not a simple thing to go and switch positions, because if that was the case, then everybody would do it. That's why we should be a little more appreciative of a guy like DJ LeMahieu's defense, because he can play all over the place. We can play 3 different positions. That's why we should really appreciate Cabrera. I wish the Yankees would appreciate him more. I wish they'd appreciate Peraza more because of his ability to play 3 different positions already. So it's a difficult thing to do. Anyone who's played baseball at any level will know it's not easy to go play first base one day and then move to right field, and it's like, oh, this is so simple. So that's why anyone suggesting move Juan Soto to first base, okay, I'm sure that's going to be a swimmingly great idea. Like, it's not that easy. So especially for a kid who's been playing center field, he's 21 years old, he better go learn left field or else he's a scrub. This is what fans do. This is why I can't stand the crowd that says, call up the kids, and then within 2 weeks they're like, oh, maybe I was wrong. What do you want? Right. What do you want? There's a thing called patience. I don't want to get into a tangent here at the end of the show, but these things all matter. Everything, there's a learning curve with everything.
Yeah, the same thing like with Judge. Well, he's a right fielder. Why are you putting him in center field? Well, so far he's had his 2 best offensive seasons playing center field. So that narrative that his concentration on defense is going to take away from his bat, or that there's too much room out there, he's going to hurt himself. Well, you can take those opinions and they can stick it up their asses, because that's obviously false. But we thought that they were dropping the ball with left. We thought when we were getting Verdugo, and to start the year, we were very happy. We were like, we actually have a legitimate fielding left fielder. We haven't had one since Brett Gardner. Think about that. That was the last time we had a solid outfielder in left. Unfortunately, Verdugo fell off the bat. They have to do something with left field. Do you just... You have to start Dominguez going into next year solidly at left field. No center field. We already know he can do it. But they also have to be careful not to keep flip-flopping these guys in positions. Look what it did to Glaber. We're going to have you at second. You were doing really well, but we needed a shortstop. So we're going to put you in short because that was your drafted position. And he was a complete embarrassment in short. Then they put him back at second and expected him to just go right back to what he was. It's the Yankees are constantly putting themselves in these situations where everybody is out of position, where they feel like because, they get paid all this money, baseball is baseball. You should be able to play it no matter where. No, it doesn't work that way. It never has. It never will. You're not talking about A-Rod going from short to third. I mean, you're talking about, that's the exception to the rule. DJ being able to play all over the place is the exception to the rule. How many?
Chisholm's a really good.
Chisholm's good, yeah. But I'm not excluding him. I'm going with the these are the guys that will be able to adjust. Chisholm's going to adjust as well. I have no issue with him at third for the postseason, but I do have an issue with somebody out of position playing first base. That's why that hit by pitch with Rizzo really kind of took this steam away from the postseason because it just opened up so many more questions. We didn't really see Cabrera in left field at all. But he's another guy that you could put anywhere. So they're going to have a lot of decisions to make going into tomorrow's game. What is the defensive lineup going to be? What's the batting lineup going to be? Who are they going to rely on with the bullpen? Cole, I'm not worried about. He's going to be fine. It's all going to come down to who's playing first, who's on first. Let's go Abbott and Costello style. Who's on first? Who's in left? And who's closing?
Well, we know who's closing. Luke Weaver, right?
Well, we don't want to know who's. We know who we want to close. Who they're going to have close is another story. But we're going to find out. Hopefully later today they do release the roster for the postseason because I haven't seen anything come over yet. But that is going to wrap up for today. I want to thank everybody for hanging out. We do apologize for not getting to as many of the comments from you guys as we did. We normally do, but we just kind of rambled on, going over a lot of multiple topics. But we do appreciate everybody, so make sure you hit that sub button, like this video, comment, share this out, and as we always say, with those pinstripes of pride, and play on.
Let's go Yankees.